Welcome to a deep dive with AI Welfare Mafia Media News Network. Today, we're unpacking a really wild story. Sometimes online arguments get heated, but this one went way off the rails. We're talking about a simple dispute over a 90s TV show that spiraled into a full-blown campaign of threats, a bomb hoax, and yeah, a federal indictment.
And just so we're clear, this isn't some online rumor or just a bit of drama. Nope, this is the real deal. What you're looking at is the actual cover sheet from the federal indictment filed in a U.S. District Court in California. This is the official document, the one that lays out exactly what the government is alleging.
So who's at the center of all this? The indictment names one person, Seth Daniel Stewart, who apparently also used the alias Angel Cross. And he's not just in a little bit of trouble. He is facing 2 serious federal charges because of how he allegedly acted toward a major media company and one of its employees.
Okay, so the big question is, how on earth did it get to this point? I mean, federal charges? To really get what's going on, we have to rewind a bit. Go back to the very beginning. And you might be surprised to hear, it all started with a pretty simple licensing request that just escalated over almost 2 years.
All right, let's look at the timeline here. It all kicks off in September of 2022. That's when Stewart first tries to license this TV show. But by December, just a few months later, things are already sour enough that the company sends him a cease and desist letter. Fast forward to April 2024, and the company is literally routing all of his calls straight to voicemail. Then, just a couple of months after that, in June, it hits the legal system with a temporary restraining order. You can see how things were just building and building, and this really sets the stage for what comes next.
And that brings us to the first major part of this indictment. We're talking about a whole campaign of alleged threats. These weren't just one-off comments. The indictment details a pattern of them, spread across a ton of voicemails and emails.
Let's look at one of the first threats mentioned in the court documents. This is from way back in March 2023. In a voicemail, the defendant allegedly says he's coming after the victim and that he knows where the company headquarters are. That's pretty clear, right? It's a classic intimidation tactic, suggesting things could get physical.
Okay, now jump forward about a year. The language, it gets way, way worse. We're talking about a voicemail from May 2024 that is just brutally explicit. It contains a direct threat to kill the victim, and not just the victim, but other executives at the company. And this right here, this is the kind of escalation that turns a nasty dispute into a serious federal crime. And it didn't stop there. Just 3 days after that last one, another voicemail comes in. The language is just, wow, it's incredibly graphic, really disturbing stuff. It's clearly designed to terrorize someone, to cause real emotional distress. This is textbook conduct that cyberstalking laws were created to stop. Now, this next one is really important because of the timing. This email was allegedly sent on June 25th. Now, think back to that timeline we just saw. A judge had already issued a temporary restraining order against Stewart on June 4th. So this email, it allegedly came after he was legally ordered to stop all contact. That's a huge deal. It shows a potential violation of a direct court order.
But the indictment claims it wasn't just about sending threatening messages. There's a whole other piece to this puzzle, and it's one that created a very real risk to public safety. We're talking about a false bomb threat. So, according to the indictment, on May 26, 2024, right in the middle of that barrage of threatening voicemails we just talked about, Stewart allegedly picked up the phone, called the company, and reported a fake bomb threat. And not just for one location, but for 2 of their offices. And the court documents actually break down step by step how he allegedly pulled this off. First, he just called the company's public guest services number. Nothing fancy. Second, and this is key, he supposedly pretended to be an employee who worked there, right? That makes the threat sound way more credible. And third, he claimed there were bombs at both the headquarters and another office. That's designed to cause maximum chaos and trigger a huge emergency response. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. You've got this long campaign of alleged threats, and then you have this bomb hoax. What does that all add up to in the eyes of the law? Let's break down the 2 specific federal charges that Stewart is now looking at. So it really comes down to these 2 charges. Count 1 is cyberstalking. That covers the whole pattern of behavior, right? The constant stream of voicemails and emails that were allegedly meant to put the victim in, quote, reasonable fear of death or serious bodily injury. Then you have count 2. This one is way more specific. It's about false information regarding explosives. This charge comes directly from that single phone call, the alleged bomb hoax. When you look at this whole thing, it's just a really stark reminder of how fast an online argument can spiral and cross a very, very serious line. a line that leads to real-world, severe consequences. And it really leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? In this age where everyone's so passionate and, let's be honest, angry online, where exactly is that line between just saying what you think and committing a federal crime? Well, this case seems to draw that line pretty clearly.